Good morning, Bowie City Church. Woo, I'm live. That's good. I'm glad you all are here this morning. I'm Dione Bolding, a lead pastor here at Bowie City Awesome Church. If you didn't know, the awesome's in there. You just can't see it. We're glad that you are here to worship with us and gearing up for the summer to come to an end. It's a bittersweet thing for the school year to be starting. That's a good thing for some and bitter for some others. But it's showing that transition is coming. Our new rhythm, or the rhythm that we're used to, is coming back. Makes it a little easier, at least in my household, when there is a continual, consistent schedule. It just makes it easier. So we got to one more Sunday here in this series, and then next month we're going to start a new series entitled "First Things First." It says we get back to our normal rhythm. We sometimes got to get reminded of what do I need to do first. My son, they're asking like, okay, I got to get up to go to school. What time I have to wake up, and I got to get on the bus, and we got to get back to the first things first. So we're going to start September off and our new rhythm, getting back into our routine of first things first. So that's going to be next Sunday, and then after church, we'll be going to the pool as long as it's not 65 degrees. Though it's awesome, it's not really good pool weather. So we ask that it gets a little bit warmer. Pray it gets a little warmer, and the rain will be held back so we can enjoy the pool together after church next Sunday. But before we get there, we have to end this series, which is family values. And we all have them. We all have values that we hold near and dear to our hearts with our families, what we want them to hold true to, what you want your family to be known for. We have them. And so we talked about at the beginning that family matters the first Sunday. If you missed any of the sermons, you can go to our YouTube page and Bowie City Church, and you will go to family values, and you'll see them loaded there. But the first Sunday was family matters, and know that you are a part of family of God, that your family matters to God as well. And then we went to the next Sunday was family fights, and all families fight. Anybody have a fight in their family? Y'all was like, we did it on the way here. Come on, somebody. You get a family fight, and so that's okay. It's all right to be having angst with each other, but there's a right way to do that. God, he said we can be angry, but it's what we do in our anger, what we do when we fight, and we can fight in your family and still encourage and build each other up. So that was that Sunday. Last Sunday, Jason talked about family time, get together. It's important for family time. He came out of Deuteronomy 5. Let me get this right. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Deuteronomy 5, chapter 5, 6, and 7, where we are to impress the things of the Lord onto our children. And when would you do that? That's all the time, and why that's important. So that was last Sunday. And this Sunday, we get to move on to a new topic. So I want to ask you guys, if you ever had seen this phrase before, if you've been around some of the Generation Z, whatever they are, the Y, like those kids that are hanging around you, maybe at your house, there's this phrase that has been said. If you've heard this phrase, just say, I've heard of it, raise your hand, or agree with me. Have you ever heard of squad goals? You guys ever heard of it? Anybody say that? Kids say that? No? Squad goals? Yes? Okay, good. I've heard it. I'm around teenagers almost every day, and I hear kids say this, and you're like, Dione, I don't know what that means. If I heard it, I'll be like, what, is that a new TV show? Like, I don't know. Is that the new A-Team? What's squad goals? So squad goals is this. The definition of squad goals is basically this: to see a person or a group that inspires you or something you want to do with your friend group. So for instance, if you are in a friend group and you have, let's say your friends say, you have some friends and they're like, one of your friends come up to you and they say, hey, did you hear that Mark and Brian and Trey and Brittany and Madison all took the train to New York City, and they just spent out in New York City all day shopping, and then they caught the train back? Did you hear that? Like, nah, really? Squad goals. And you're like, that's how it's been used. And you're like, if you're outside listening, you're like, that is not even a complete sentence. But in that phrase, it's a complete sentence. It's basically saying, I want to emulate what they did in our friend group. Like, that's what it means. So if a friend group goes out and they go like a girls trip or a guys trip, or and you're like, oh, I wish we can do that. And you just hashtag on their picture, squad goals. And all your friends like, I know what you're saying. We need to do a girls trip so we can go, maybe not to Vegas, maybe you go to like Ocean City or whatever. Like, you go out and you want to emulate what that friend group is doing. Well, I'm going to take that phrase and flip it a little bit to fit this sermon, where we're talking about family goals. Family goals. So we talked about family matters. We all matter to God. We're all part of God's family, and your family matters to God. And we talked about family fights. We all have them. How do we do that well? family time. We all need to spend time with our families and with God. And now today, family goals. We all have them. But are your goals lining up with the goals that God has for you and your family? You're like, Dion, I'm a family of one. Then you are a family. It is you. If it's like, it's just me and my kids, that's a family. Oh, it's me and my extra people, aunts and uncles and whoever else. You are a family. And are your family goals lining up with God's goals for your family? That is where we are today. So I need everybody to do this. We don't normally do this. This is kind of old school, kind of church I grew up in, where we're all going to turn to the same passage in the Bible, and we're all going to read it. And so we're going to go to Amos. You're like, Dion, why'd you? I didn't pick an easy book, y'all. I didn't. It's Amos. Where is Amos? It's in the Bible. It's in your device. You can just type it in. It's easy to find. But we're going to the book of Amos. It is a minor prophet. It's not one of the major ones. He almost made it. He's in the minor leagues. He didn't quite make it out. They get called up to the main game. But Amos, and we're going to chapter 3. If you got in the green Bibles, if you're in the house, Bibles are going to set out. Somebody, if you need a Bible, raise your hand. We'll get you a Bible if you need a Bible, because they didn't get set out. I don't know why. We're slipping. Somebody's going to get yelled at, and they're getting demotion, even though nobody gets paid. But if you need a Bible, they're going to get passed out. Usually the little kids help out, but they weren't in the room this morning. But we're going to go to the book of Amos, and we're going to chapter 3. And if you find it in the house Bible, won't you go ahead and tell the page number so that helps everybody figure what page that is. Amos chapter 3. And we're going to go with verse 3. House Bibles, you got it yet? Yes? Amos? Everyone there? All right. So this is what we're going to do too. This is how I grew up when I went to church. We're all going to stand up. Yes, we're going to stand and read this together. So go ahead. This is not rhetorical. I'm really telling you to stand. Stand up. We're going to read it together. We're going to be in the NIV. It's a short verse. We're trying something new right here. We'll try something new. So we're going to read Amos chapter 3, verse 3. Everybody ready? Nope, not ready yet? All right. Come on. Somebody help her out with sword drill. 638 in the house Bibles. All right? And if you can't see it, just hold the Bible up like this, really, and then you can see, because I know it's not always bright in this place. All right. Amos chapter 3, verse 3. Here we go. Ready? Do to walk together unless they have agreed to do so. All right, we'll read again. Ready? Do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so. Take a seat. Take a seat. It's on the screen too. All right? When I was a kid, they would read like all Psalms 40. Like, man, we standing a long time. So we tried something a little different, try a little something. But this is what it says. Amos 3, verse 3. Do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so? That is the question. If you read chapter 3, it really has nothing to do with family, but this question is a good question that we need to ask. Do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so? And the answer to that question is no. Good, thank you, Ellen. No, they do not. Two people do not walk together unless they have agreed to do so. You ever been walking down the street or walking somewhere and you're walking in the same step with this person right next to you, and you're like, this is getting weird. So either you drop back a little bit or you speed up. Y'all ever do that? It's just me at the mall. Like you're walking, you're like, we're not together. Hold fast. Okay, now we can go. Like you don't, unless you were looking at somebody, especially if you're trying to see if they with someone. Like you're like, oh, he cute. Is he with her? Is he with her? Like is he falling back? They together. Never mind. Like so we don't walk together unless we agree to do so. It's the same thing goes with our family. Same thing with our relationships with our family. In your family, we need to line up together to work together, and we do that in agreement. That is family goals. That is the basis of it. If we're going to walk together, meaning in relationships, we need to agree to work together. If we're going to walk together in relationships, we have to agree to work together. This is an essential ingredient in working together with someone, is to agree upon the same goals and the same objectives. And of course, as a Christian, we need to seek God to make sure that we have his goals and his objectives and that they're God-led. It says this in Proverbs 29:18. It says, where there is no vision, the people what? Perish. Where there is no vision, the people perish. The word perish here can also be translated to go unrestrained, or also to teach or to go each own way. For each person to go their own way. Where there is no vision, where there is no dream, where there is no goal that we're pursuing, you will perish. You will just end up wandering. You will go your own way. I don't know if you've been on a part of a team and like there's no a strong vision or strong, God, what are we doing? Or boss, what are we doing? Or coach, what are we doing? And they're like, I don't know. Eventually, you're just like, all right, well, I'm going to go do this. Or fine, y'all do that. I'm going to go over here and do this. And eventually, that unity perishes. It goes unrestrained. And what's tragic, but filling this description perfectly, is that we see this happening in marriages. We see this happening in families. We see this happening in churches and organizations. We see this even happening in a nation. I'm not going to say our nation, but some people would say that when we're not in agreement of the vision, their perishing starts happening. It says this in Judges 21:25. All the people did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. All the people seem to do right in their own eyes. You read Judges, the people wanted judges, they wanted a judge, and the guy's like, you don't want a judge, like let me be your judge. And like, we want a judge, and the guy's like, you don't want one. And so the people start doing their own thing. And God's like, fine, I'll give you a judge. You don't want it, he's gonna rule over you. Because they were not walking in the vision that God had for them. So they did their own thing and went their own way. And while these principles that we're looking at today can apply to any group and any relationship that you're working in any church, in any country, today we're focusing on your marriage relationship or your soon-to-be marriage relationship, what you want to be married, or in your family. All of you are a part of a family. Even if you're a family of one, you're a part of this Bowie City Church family. You are a family. Or you are either looking to be married or you're in some significant relationship or you long to be or want to be. This is where we're going to apply this today in our family goals. Because here's the question. Why set God-led goals as a family? Why even do that? Why set God-led goals as a family? So the first reason why, here's the first one. It says God-led family goals are the basis of marriage and family oneness. God-led family goals are the basis of marriage and family oneness. The goal is to be one. The goal is to be one. And sometimes when I'm doing, I marry couples, and you say, today you have these two people who have decided that they want to become one, and then after the wedding ceremony, they're going to decide which one they're going to become. They're going to become her or become him. Like, but because 1 + 1 = 2. Yes, like there's not a trick question. You're like 2? Yes, 1 + 1 does equal 2. But in marriage, 1 + 1 = 1, and it's actually supposed to be 1 + 1 + God, which is 1, who's 3 in 1, which actually be 5, = 1. How does that work? Which one are we going to become? How is this going to play out? See, Amos 3:3 asks us that question, can two walk together unless they agree? Agreeing on where they're going and the essentials is essential in the relationship. Sometimes you may have some goal you're trying to achieve, and you turn around and you make those goals into rules. You're like, that ever happened? Okay, I'll just give you an example. So I'm going to assume in most homes there is a rule that children cannot make plans without communicating or acknowledging that to the parent. Is that a rule in most homes? I'm just going to assume. I know it's not good to assume because it makes a you-know-what, but I'm just going to assume that is a rule that for parents, you cannot go make your own plans. You cannot. So it sounds like this is how it sounds in my house, or it sounds in when I grew up. I tell my parents, or my child has told me something, and the reply will be, "Who told you could do that?" And you're like, "Uh-oh." Like, did I? Like, who told you you could go there? Who told you could invite someone? So who said they could sleep over? I thought somebody. Like, and the parents are like, you can't, like, it's a rule. And like, so we changed, but the goal is not actually, the rule's not like, you can't do anything without telling me first. Cause then that gets ridiculous. Cause like, mom, dad, can I go to the bathroom? Boy, would you stop asking me, just go to the bathroom? Mom, dad, can I get some water? Just go get the water. Like, eventually you get to like, it's not a rule anymore. It's the goal. The goal is that you're going to communicate to each other when we have plans. As it starts off as a rule, because you're trying to teach a kid, you're trying to like, hey, you can't just make your own plans. It's about us, not about you. You know, it's a hard thing to learn for a child. But once they start to get it, what I do in this family affects the family. Therefore, I need to communicate to mom. Got it. It goes smoother that way. So it could play out that way. It may be more like, hey, husband and wife, before we have anything, if you're going to make a detour at home or you got something going on, we're just going to communicate with each other because that's going to be the goal, that we have clear communication within our family. Sweet, awesome. That is a great goal. That's what we're striving to get to. The reason for setting goals together is because you get to communicate with one another. The reason why you want to set goals together as a family, because it forces you to communicate with one another. If we have as a family, we have a rhythm or something that's important to our family is for us to go on vacation, either a day trip, a weekend, or a week long. We love to get away. As much as I love Bowie, we like to go outside of Bowie and do things. Yes, it's to the same place most times, but that's okay. We still like to do that. But if the goal was to go away, and then Mal says, well, I'm going to go plan a trip to New Jersey, see my family. Yet she doesn't communicate that to anyone. And I say, you know what? I want to do something. We haven't been to the beach. I'm going to plan a trip to go to the beach for a whole week. And then Jonathan says, you know what? I want to go back to Disney for a whole week. And he starts making plans, and he's calling like 1-800 Walt Disney, and like he's getting travel agents. And then Marshall's like, I want to go back on that cruise we did. And he starts making plans for the cruise. And we're like, the goal is great. Vacation is important to us, but we've all tried to do it our own way without communicating with each other. It's not going to work. And it's time to go on vacation. And Mal's packed for us to go to New Jersey. And I'm like, no, we're going to the beach. I got all the boogie boards packed. And John's like, I got the airfare. We're going. Marshall's like, the cruise is out of Baltimore. Like, you're like, what is going on? We have to communicate clearly to each other. So setting goals as a family creates communication. So you need to involve your kids at whatever level that they're in, or when your kids are gone, it's just you and your spouse, communicate those goals because it creates communication amongst each other. Communicating goals creates a commitment within the family. A husband was not doing it on purpose, but he was leaving the toothpaste off the cap. Like for years, he had been doing this. And for years, his wife just kind of dealt with it. For the 25-year anniversary, he made it, in his mind, he's like, you know what? My wife is always telling me to put the cat back. 25 years, really done a good job about that. I'm going to put the cap back on the toothpaste. Like, this is my goal for my 25-year anniversary. I'm just going to say I'm going to do that. And so he started doing it. He is like, every day he's brushing his teeth, putting the cap on, and he's doing it, and he's feeling good. Like, man, I'm creating a new habit, and it's been awesome. And so it's been going on for a couple weeks, and his wife corners him in the kitchen, and he's having breakfast, and he's like making eggs and bacon, and she stops him, and she's like, I need to bring something to your attention. And he's like, what? He's like, sit down. He's like, uh-oh. And he sits down. She's like, I'm very concerned. And he's like, okay. She's like, why have you stopped brushing your teeth? And clearly communicate your goals. Because in her mind, she's like, this dude has abandoned brushing his teeth. He's had enough. And because she's always put the cat back. And she felt like she was serving. And after a while, it was annoying. But after a while, she's like, Jim, let's just put this cat back on for him. Like, and she's just doing it. And eventually, he didn't communicate the goal that he wanted to take something minor, and put the cat back. That happens to us when we don't clearly communicate. It just throws things off. And not just any goal, but like a God-led goal. What's God's goal for you and your family? For you personally is awesome, but we're talking about the family unit. We're talking about you and your spouse or your soon-to-be spouse. What are some goals that you feel like God is speaking to you, led you to, wants you to accomplish, wants you to be, wants you to go? What's the goal for your family? And that needs to be communicated amongst all of you. The second one is God-led goals offers a framework for making decisions. God-led family goals makes a framework for making decisions. See, life consists of endless decisions. Where you're going to invest your time, where you're going to give your energy, what you're going to give your attention to, how much effort you're going to put into it, how much money and resources you're going to apply to this. Endless decision making is going to go on in your life until you take your last breath here on earth. And without established goals, confusion and conflict and chaos runs around. See, by setting goals, however, a family is faced with a decision to simply ask, will this choice further accomplish our family goals or hinder them? When you have the family goal up there, God-led family goal, whatever it is, I'm not the one to tell you what your family goal is because that's between you and God. But whatever it is, by asking this question, it does one thing for sure. It takes me out of it and puts we up front. If what I'm about to do, or whatever we're trying to accomplish, is that going to help accomplish the goal, or is it going to hinder the goal? In other words, am my actions, my attitude, how I'm approaching this, the decisions I'm making, is it setting my family up to reach their goal? Or is it hindering my family? Or is it going to be a stumbling block for my family to achieve and reach their goals? That is a question that we all should ask. So before you decide to do something that's risky, do something financial risky, do something relational risky, do something that's going to maybe bring negative attention, do something, you ask the question, is this going to help my family? Because I know we have this goal, and we believe that God has this for us. Is this going to help? If it is, awesome. If it's not, should I do it? How should I go about it? Let me communicate that to my family, because this is what I do know. The art of navigation depends on a large extent, to a large extent, to an existing or fixed point. If we're going to navigate anywhere, we need to have a fixed point to where we're trying to go. It could be a star, it could be a lighthouse, it could be a mountaintop, it can be an address, it can be a store location. We need a fixed point if we're going to navigate effectively. By having a fixed point, it allows the navigator, allows whoever's trying to get there to get their bearings, to understand what's going on. They can check the time, they can check the weather and where the wind's blowing. They can take all their conditions in and say, now I can chart a course based upon all the conditions that's going on because I have my fixed point that I'm trying to get to. None of us are going to use a cloud as a navigation tool to get to our fixed point. Why? Because the cloud is vaporous. Why? Because the cloud eventually disappears. And a lot of times, as we're trying to achieve our goals, we sometimes may use a tool that is not going to benefit us to get to our fixed place. Sometimes we're like, I'm going to use the tool of social media because that thing never lies. It's good. Like, I'm going to use the internet, and it's going to give me facts and truth, and you use it, and eventually it all falls apart, and you're like, where's my family now? Where are we reaching our goals? Sometimes you may use the negative advice of friends or peer pressure, and then you end up in a place and you're like, and that did not get me to my end goal. The best navigators don't use something like a cloud to get them to their destination. They use a compass. They use something that is true. They use a true north. And for us and your family, that has to be the Holy Spirit. If God says, this is your destination, this is where I want you to go, this is who I want you to be, this is how I want you to live, and that is what is anchoring you, then you need, how am I going to get there, God? The Holy Spirit needs to be your tool to get to where God is calling you to go. Nothing else. Everything else will fade. Everything else will fail. Everything else will disappear and will leave you in a place where you're standing around saying, how did I get here? How did our family get here? Oh, because we use this as our guide to our fixed destination. Having a God-led goal gives you the framework of how you're supposed to go and how you're supposed to move. Goals provide us a fixed point to whereby as we can figure out if we're on course or not by using God's word, by being led by the Holy Spirit, by using other navigators around us to say, hey, you're not on course. You're off. I thought your destination was here. How come you're over there? The third point, God-led family goals are a reminder of the importance of priorities. This statement is right here. I've heard this from coaches. I've heard it from other preachers. I've heard it from other leaders. Says good things are the worst enemy of the best thing. Good things are the worst enemy of the best thing. Growing up playing football, one of my coaches, his name was Coach Jones, is one of my favorite coaches. If you ever hear this, Coach Jones, what's up? If you're one of my favorite coaches, he used to say this. We used to say this often. He would say, it was called good, better, best. And he would say, good, better, we would repeat it. It was like this chant, like call and respond. He said, good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better than your better is best. It's not proper English. But good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better than your better is best. What he's saying to us, don't settle for good because it just is the enemy of the best. And a lot of times we end up doing that as a family. We do that as individuals. We will settle for what's good when God says, I have this for you. I have the best for you. That was Israel when they're trying to get to the promised land. God had the best land picked out for them, but a lot of times they didn't want to settle for their own good. And God says, you're destroying the best thing I have for you. But God, it's going to be hard. There's giants in the land. So what? You don't think we can beat a giant? God, I have this place for you, but God, my family is in turmoil. I don't even get along with my kids. Am I not a guy who can fix relationships? God, you got to have us going way over here. You want us to buy this. You want us to go here. We don't have enough money. Am I not the God who owns the cattle of 1,000 hills? Like, don't settle for good when I have the best for you. I say this in my own mind and own head. My word for this year is increase. I want to live out of the increase, the overflow of my life. I want to live out of the increase that God has given to me. I don't want to settle for good enough. I don't want to settle for average. I want every blessing God has for me, and every blessing he has for me is the best. The same thing for you and your family. Don't settle for good. God has something great for you and your family. Press on to that. Because I do know this, whatever you have to achieve tomorrow will determine what you need to do today. So whatever God has for you tomorrow, you will tell you what you need to do today to get to your tomorrow. Today. That is a beautiful thing. It is a very simple concept, but a lot of times that makes it very difficult. God says, I have this for your family to do, to go for the future. Awesome, God. That means I need to do X, Y, and Z today to get there. But a lot of times we don't do that. A lot of times in our marriages, we don't do that. A lot of times in our families, we don't do that. Life gets hard. Relationships are hard. And God says, come on. I'm going to leading you to a place you need to go as a family. You can work it out. If you're going to walk together, you have to work together. If we want our marriages and our families not to just survive, but we actually want them to thrive for the future, we need to determine what things we need to do today as a family. None of us want to just survive this life. I hope not. I hope you want to thrive in your life. God doesn't say, I just want to give you life. He says, I want to give you an abundant life. I have something great for you as a family. Regardless of how messed up your family is or what's going on, I have something that will blow your mind. You cannot settle for the good. A God-led goal, number 4, provides a sense of accomplishment and security. A God-led family goal provides a sense of accomplishment and security. Do you guys know anybody who is like a to-do list kind of person? Anybody know any of those people? Like they write down their to-do list. Anybody? I know. If you don't know someone, I can tell you about someone. She's a near and dear friend of mine. I love her to death, or love her to life. I don't want to love her to death. I love her to life. Her name is Janelle Rigler, and she is the queen of lists. She is awesome. If you don't know her, if you read, you get to know her personality, you're like, yeah, you're probably a list person. Like, she has that great personality, and she was one of my interns when I was a youth pastor. And I had 2 interns. I had this other guy named Andy, and he was great, and he did his thing the way he did it. He was an awesome, like, laid-back kind of guy. And Janelle was a total different, and she was a list maker, and I am not. I kind of like go with the flow. God, what you're saying? Okay, we're gonna go there. And Janelle is more like, Dione, what are we doing today? I'm like, oh, well, you get all this pressure. We're gonna pray, read the Bible, have lunch. Like, she's like, I need a list. She's like, I'm gonna create you a list, and she would write down a list on my desk. I'm like, I don't know what to do with that, but she would like, first we're gonna do this, second we're gonna do this. And the thing that would excite her the most is when she could go, like, check. Cross. She's like, oh, that felt so good. Then I'm like, you got a problem. Like, she just, like, some of you are like, that's me. Like, I love getting through a list. Some of you are like, I don't like getting a list because I look at what I didn't get done today. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got 2 things done. And some people are like, yes, I got 2 things done. More to do tomorrow. Some of us are to-do list makers. Some of us like crossing things off our list, which is awesome. We have to set goals. Setting goals is actually making a list. If it's 1 goal or if it's 5, 10 goals, you say, bam, there it is. Here is what we want to achieve, go, be, whatever it might be. What that allows you to do, it allows you, by having this goal, having this list, allows you to experience that secure feeling of your life not being out of control. By your day not ruling you, but you ruling the day. By saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, not because I have to, because I get to. I get to because I know where God has for me to go. Therefore, I set this, and I set that, and I set this, and I do this there, I do this here. And it's not just random. God, the day doesn't rule me, I rule the day. My life doesn't rule me, God has me to rule my life. And God to set my plan according to what he has for me to do. This is awesome, this verse right here. If you get nothing out of this, I want you to take this verse and memorize it if you don't know it. Like, this is a verse that it's something I'm like, as I'm writing this sermon, like, we need to put this on our wall. I'm like, Mal's sleeping. I'm like, note to Mal. Note to Mal. Put this verse somewhere in the house. Like, we need this verse. This is this verse. It's Psalms 37, 4 and 5. And I like it in the New King James, so that's what I'm going to say. It says, delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit your ways to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. That is an awesome verse. What does that have to do with goals? There's 2 points that I just want to pull out of this verse. First point, what I delight in will determine my desires. What I delight in will determine my desires. I'm going to say it again. What I delight in will determine my desires. If my delight is in God, I will have God-honoring desires that I should pursue. Like, it's not deep, but it's deep. What I delight in will determine my desire. So if I delight in sports, my desire will be to do sports. If I delight in seeing my kids succeed, my desire will be to see my kids go and succeed. If my delight is in self-pleasure, my desire will be to please myself. But if my delight is in the Lord, I will have the desire, this longing to do God-pleasing, God-honoring pursuits. The second point is who I depend on will determine my destiny. Who I depend on will determine my destiny. Who I lean on will determine my destiny. If I depend on self, I will get what I can do. If I depend on God, I will get what God can do. I say this all the time. I get the privilege and the honor to speak to youth and young people all the time. And when I get to go to a chapel or to a team or whatever, and they give me a free, like, Don, just share what you want to share, I do my best to always illustrate this point. And young people, hear me out. This does not really do with goals, but it kind of does. It will affect you. You are who you hang out with. You are who you hang out with. Whoever you're leaning on or depending on, you're going to be that. Whatever your friends can accomplish for you, that's what you're going to get. So I encourage the football players and I encourage young people, choose your friends wisely, because what they can give you is what you're going to get. Same thing here with God. If I depend on me, I'm only going to get what I can do. And I can't do much. In my own time, like by myself, I may be feeling myself. I'm like, I could do that. No, you can't. Like maybe I could, but that's all you're going to get. But if I depend on God, and God is the biggest and greatest and most awesome and most powerful in all of the world, that I can depend that he's going to give me all that he has. Same thing for you and your family. What is your family depending on? Are you depending on your past? Are you depending on the government? Are you depending on your own power? Are you depending on your own, like, what your family has done for years to come and years to pass? Or are you depending on God? Because if you depend on him, you can get everything that God can do and that God has. One more insight I want to get. God leads us not by just telling us what he wants us to do. So the verse says, desires of your heart. God doesn't just tell us from the desires of our heart, like to do, but how he wants us to do it. How does he want us to do it? It says it in the verse. Commit your ways to the Lord. That is how we are to do the desires of our heart. And the second part is when he wants us, he will bring it to pass. He will bring it to pass. This is awesome. I was looking at this verse and I was thinking about Abraham. Y'all know Abraham? His name was Abram. If y'all don't know, y'all read Genesis, it's in there. But Abraham, he was told that he will be the father of many nations. And Abraham was told that. And Abraham, it doesn't say this. Again, this is how Dion reads the Bible. It doesn't say that Abraham wanted to have children, but I think he probably did. But he didn't have any. He was married, no kids. He had a nephew named Lot. And that dude, he was, okay. But he had no kids. Then God comes to him and says, Abraham, because you delight in me, and I will give the desires of your heart. And Abraham's like, God, I just want to have children. And he's like, you know what? I'll do you one better. He's like, I just want to be a father. Do you one better. You'll be the father of many nations. Like, I ain't got no kids. You know how old Abraham was when God told him that? 99. Who want to have some kids at 99? Anybody? Anybody's like, you'd be like, you better not even touch me if you're 99. It'll stay over there. Like, 99. But since Abraham had the desire, he delighted in the Lord, and his heart was like, I just long to be a father. And God says, Abraham, you're not just going to be a father, you're going to be the father of many nations. If you don't know, this is where the nation of Israel starts with Abraham. Changed his name from Abram to Abraham, and this is where we get the whole nation of Israel. And we're not going to backtrack, but he is the forefathers of our Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. Those 4 dudes came from Abraham through his tree. 99 years old. It's not God just telling Abraham, you're going to be the father of many nations. How are you going to do that? By doing what I tell you to do, Abraham. How am I going to be a father of many nations? That's the desire of my heart, God. Do what I tell you, Abraham. Commit yourself to me. Do you trust me? Abraham, yes, God, I trust you. Awesome. Then I shall make it come to pass. He told his wife, God said we're going to have a baby. She's like, no, we're not. No, we're not. Like, that ain't going to happen. You know what we're going to do? We're actually going to do our own thing, and we're going to go get somebody else. Got this little pretty young thing over here. Abraham, I know you're 99, but we need a kid. Like, here we go. And had a baby, and God's like, did I tell you to do that? I told you to commit yourself to my ways. Abraham, did you trust me? I did trust me. Then why'd you go this way? I have a plan for your family. I have family goals for you, Abraham. Why are you going out and stepping outside the plan I have for you? Because, God, I couldn't see no way. Like, I'm old, my wife old. She not old. She can have a baby. God's like, I didn't tell you to do that. And it's a whole nother, man, note to Jason, we're going to do Abraham. There's a whole, thing goes on between Abraham and Ishmael, why it leads up today. Bible character. We're going to do Abraham at some point. We haven't done Abraham, have we? No, good. Okay, I know I'm off, but y'all, do you understand? That happens in your own family. When God has something great for you, and you're like, God, I just settle for the best. I'll just take good, and I'll come up with my own plan. And the God is like, did I tell you? I thought I would give you the desires of your heart because you delight in me. Just commit to my ways. And do you trust me? All the time I think of that, I think of Aladdin reaching down to Jasmine and say, do you trust me? She's like, what? She's like, do you trust me? Sure. Like, yeah, like, do you trust me? Yes, I trust you. Awesome. Then I'll make it come to pass. Just do what I told you to do. I'll give you desire. God, I just desire to be married. Oh, I don't just want you to be married. I want you to have the best partner that you can possibly have. I got that person for you. Oh, thank you, God. Like, oh, my gosh. Thank you, Lord, so much. Like, when that's going to happen? I'll make it come to pass. Just commit to my ways. Do you trust me? I trust you, God. Okay, it's going to come. And you're like, when that going to come? Because I see somebody over there. Is that person? Because I want it to be them. Like, I'll just go over there and just, like, and God's like, that. I didn't tell you that's I didn't tell you. God, I just wanted to have a house. I don't want you to have a house. I want you a place where you have a safe haven for people to come, a place of safety, not just a house, but a home. God's like, yes, do you want? Yes, Lord, I want that. Do you trust me? Yes. Awesome. Well, how long going to take, God? I'll make it come to pass. I'll make it come to pass. God, we've been renting. I'm telling you my story. We've been renting and renting and renting and renting. And God, okay, we're going to go buy a house. And God's like, did I tell you about a house? You said we're going to have a house. Did I tell you about, I don't know, but we here now, like, we're going to make it work. And that house was a money pit. Like, it was good. God allowed us free will, but I truly don't believe that's what God had for us. It wasn't the best. It was good. And God's like, you know what? It's time to come out of the house. Foundation cracking. My neighbor's coming over. It's like, hey, you got water leaking into my house. I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, yes, you do. I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, yeah. You got water coming into my house. That's bad. I was like, it's time to sell. Like, we got to get up out of here. And we had to start all over. And we're like, God, how long? How long? How long? He's like, I got this house for you. You got this beautiful piece of property. Like, I won't go. Do you trust me? I have a goal for you. Don't settle for good. I got the best for you. Come on, families. Come on, boys. People ask Jason and I and the church leadership, when are y'all going to go get a building? When are y'all going to go, and what's your 5-year plan and 10-year plan? We're like, we don't have one of those. Like, what are you talking about? We just do what God, we just delight in the Lord, and we commit to him, and we trust him. He says, I'll take care of the rest. We truly believe we're going to get a church for free. Y'all can call me crazy. I believe guys will be like, and there's your building for $1. Like, we'll meet here as long as we have to. Well, how are you going to get there? I'm like, God's going to, not that we're not going to do any work. We're going to love all the people we can love. We're going to serve this city as much as we can serve. We're going to reach family. We're going to help families become fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ. We're going to help marriages restore. We're going to help kids get to the destination they need to get to. We're going to do what God's called us to do, but we're not going to go, but we need a building, so therefore we're going to go in debt, and we're just going to, we just believe it. Call us stupid, naive, but that's the desire of our hearts. And we delight in him. God's like, do you trust me? I do. Yes. Okay. How long? I don't know. 5-year plan? I don't know. 10-year plan? I don't know. But they'll be free at the end of the road. I believe it. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to say, and here you go. What is God saying for your family? All right, let me move on. Close. Last point. God-led goals, God-led family goals are an example and a witness to others. God-led goals is a witness, an example to others. People are looking for individuals and families who know where they're going. Because there's people just end up in trouble. There's these 2 little boys, and they're out, and they have this old church in their neighborhood. Old, like dirt old. And these 2 boys just like, they don't believe anybody goes to this church building. It's empty. And so they decide, you know what, we're they're being boys or being kids, and they're like throwing rocks at the building, and it's just something they're doing, and they're like broke a window and look around, no one said anything. So they're just breaking windows. I've done it. Old warehouse, DC, we're chucking rocks at the thing. That's a different story. But the caretaker comes up, and the caretaker is actually the pastor of the church. No longer the congregation meets there, but he's checking on the property, and he sees these boys, and he's like, catches them, they don't run off, they come back. He's like, come follow me. They follow him, they go around the corner, and there's the office building that the church is actually meeting in, and he sits the boys down, and he asks the boys a question. He says, do you know where God is? And the boys look at each other and they're like, say nothing. And the pastor's like, no, he's determined in his mind. He's like, I'm not going to give these boys a sermon, but, I'm just going to ask again. He asked the boys, do you know where God is? And they look at each other and they're like, give him that eye like, you don't say nothing, I ain't saying nothing. So then the pastor goes into this long sermon about, do you know where God is? So he asks them at the end of it again, do you know where God is? Boys, tell me, do you know where God is? And they still look at each other. He's like, I'll be contacting your parents. You guys can go. The boys leave. They're walking down the street. They look at each other and they're like, can't believe it. He's like, me either. They think we took God. People are looking for him. In their mind, like, they're looking for God, and they think we did it. People are looking for God, y'all. Your God-led goal for your family should be, we know where he is. We know. We are a city on a hill. My kids know. If they don't know, they know it like in their conscience, in their heart, that our home is a safe place. I may tell my kids, no, you can't go to so-and-so's house. You can't go to so-and-so's house. You can't go. They can come here all they want. My home for any of you is a safe place. You can come to my house. Now, though it's not a church, it is a church in my eyes. It's safe sanctuary. You could be the hunchback of Notre Dame, like, sanctuary, like, ring the bell, like, I'm at the Boldings, I'm safe. It is a safe place. It's a goal of our family to be a safe place. You can bring any of your wayward friends. They can be way out there. Homeless person, whatever, and we may, safety, and, we take the right precautions, but it's a safe place. God didn't just give us a house. He gave us a home. He gave us a place. Like, that's a goal of ours. Therefore, we have to take care of it in such a way that it can always be a safe place for an individual, for a family, for a church, whatever it may be. We know where God is. We have a vision. And the vision of this church is to reach families and people so they become fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ. And we do that through our goals, through accomplishing these 4 core values that are behind us. They're not just words on a banner behind us. We live them, breathe them. The core of this church, those who know what this church is, you're like, yeah, we are about that. Find people. We do baptisms once or twice a year. We are preaching the gospel. Well, part of the reason why I am part of FCA, because I am a missionary into the school. Like, what? I get to go to the school and talk about Jesus. And I know the way to do it without me getting kicked out, because you can't, you have to do it the right way. But I'm a missionary in the school. I don't have to wait for the people to come to me. I go right in the school building. Huge success for FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and Bowie City Church. We have a free pass in there. Y'all don't know this, that maybe FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athlete, is an approved club at Bowie High School now. It's not just on the football team. Yeah, this is huge. I could walk and say, I'm the FCA guy. I'm ready to talk about Jesus. Anybody want? Anybody? No? You need some Jesus. Ooh, you need some Jesus. Like, yeah, you invite them to Bible study. Invite them to huddle. Like, they need to come. I'm not an athlete. We can worry about that later. Like, we can fudge that. We can say you play ping pong. Like, you need to come to the Bible study. Approved Christian club. What? It's a vision for this church. Like, we don't want a pastor just going to be sitting waiting for, like, people to come. Well, we're going to send him to the school. Don, you like sports? I love sports. Oh, we're going to help you do that. Don't just sit, wait. Go, do. What's the vision for your family? We have one for this church. I have one for my family. What's it for your family? From the trivial vacation, go have a good time, to what is God doing in your family? Who are you to be? What is it? Many people are looking for God today. Can they see God at work through your life and through the life of your family? That is a heavy question. If someone can look at your family and say, they are those Christians, they are believers, not just because they say so, there's something different about them. They speak different. They love different. They're so nice. I don't know why they're so nice. Do they say that about your family? Do they see your family as an example of what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ, a fully devoted follower, not the checkbox on the census paper that you say, I'm a Christian, but a fully devoted follower? In closing, If you don't make up your mind, your unmade mind will unmake you. I saw that. I was like, I'm saying that. I'm still in it. Now I said it. I'm going to say it twice. If you don't make up your mind, your unmade mind will unmake you. Make up your mind as a church, as a family, to say this is what we are. And this is what God has for us. And this is why we do what we do. This is why we say what we say. This is why we act the way we act. This is why we spend our money the way we spend it. This is why we don't spend our money the way others want us to spend it. Because our minds are made up. We are a fully devoted follower, family of Jesus Christ. And as long as you live in this house, me and mine are going to serve the Lord. And this is how we're going to serve the Lord. See, God wants to make your family that kind of family that draws together all the senses and everyone to know that there's a oneness about you because you're fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ, that you have a purpose, a family that is understanding what their priorities are and makes their decisions according to the family that God has called them to be. And they have the sense of security because of God has called them to be this family. Therefore, if we are facing trouble, we have security in that because God's going to take care of it. He called me here. He's going to take care of it. A family that sets an example and be a witness to others. And what's different about this family is like God's in that family. As I mentioned before, is that this applies not just to your marriage, not just to your family, but to all your relationships. What is God calling you to be? What family values is He calling you to have? Where is He calling you to go? Let us pray. You're a great God. You're awesome and mighty. You're worthy to be praised. And God, in the midst of how awesome our families are, how messed up they are, how we long for them to be a certain way, or we're right on track of what we believe You've called us to be, God, we just thank You for Jesus Christ. It's not possible without Him. So many lives, so many families, so many countries fail because Christ is not the center. Jesus, will You be the center? Will You be the glue? Will You be the thing that we say, we have family values because we have Jesus values? God, we thank You. Hold our families close. Draw our families to You. From the wayward child to that tight nucleus family right now, Lord, to those who don't have external family, they're a family of one, to those who have multiple family members in their household, that You would be the glue, that You would be the one, You be the reason that they live. We thank You for this church, what You've called this church to be, where You've called this church to go, how You called this church to give, and that we will be an example in this city of one that's called and following the calling of Jesus Christ in our lives. What a beautiful name Jesus is. We sing this song in praise to You. We ask all these things in Jesus' name, amen.